Hello everybody, Dragonzilla here, and welcome to another figure review. And today or tonight, depending what time it is when you're watching this video, I will be covering a kaiju who was the villain of the very first Godzilla movie that I ever saw, which is Megalon from Godzilla vs. Megalon 1973. The movie itself was mostly about Jet Jaguar, and Godzilla was only added in at the 11th hour. I'm not sure whether or not Giger was still going to appear in the movie still, or he too was written in at the very last minute, due to his popularity. But anyway, I'm not going to be talking about Megalon's backstory, so if you want to know about his history, then go watch his movie, or if you don't have access to it, then there's always the kaiju profile on him by Wikizilla. However, he is a one-off monster who only appeared in one film, but has at least showed up in other forms of Godzilla media outside the movies. But onto the figure itself. Now, way back in 2007, Jet Jaguar was the last figure to be made for the Bandai Movie Monster Series line until 2014, when Bandai started to resume on making kaiju figures again. However, during that time, there was surprisingly no 6-inch Megalon figure to go alongside JJ, so if you wanted a Megalon in the 6-inch range, then your best bet was the YMSF figure, and like Vara and so many other obscure kaiju, that model ain't easy to come by. But in 2021, Bandai announced that Megalon would finally be coming to the Movie Monster Series range. It took them about 15 years, but a Megalon figure that would be more affordable for those unlucky few who couldn't find or couldn't afford the YMSF version was in production, and like Gorosaurus, who at the time was an unpainted prototype model, would be a replica of the old 8-inch Megalon from years past. But since this figure itself has been released to the public, there have been a lot of mixed opinions. Some love it and say it's one of Bandai's best, and others disagree and say that it's a total letdown. But what do I think of the Bandai Movie Monster Series Megalon? Well, let's take a look. I'll just talk about the articulation first, so it's out the way. But anyway, Megalon's head can rotate, which is ironic because he never turned his head at all in the movie, and the rest of the articulation is pretty generic. However, when the arms are not stuck up, then Megalon does look downcast and depressed, hence why I placed the arms up to show that he's in a bow pose. The paint job is alright. It's mostly black and yellow, with some areas such as the horn, toe claws and drills painted silver. I've heard some folks complain about the figure not being heavily weathered, like he was in the movie, but they do say that if you're a customizer, aka figure artist, then you could just give the figure a weathered appearance. Personally, I don't really mind how the paint job has turned out, so I won't be weathering him. And this has come from someone who painted some spare diecast Dalek models a few years ago. The jaws are open and the inside is black, which I think it might have been in the film, or there was a tint of red in there. It's been a long time since I last watched Godzilla vs. Megalon. The horn is magnificent and I love those compound eyes. Megalon's iconic features are his drills, that he uses as either weapons or tools. Possibly these were inspired by Giger's hooks. And on the back you have the wings, which are folded in. And since we got two variants of Jet Jaguar, one of them being a flying version, it kind of makes me wonder whether or not we'll get a Megalon figure in flight mode someday. Now on to sizing. So here is Megalon with the NECA Godzilla 1964 / Mosagoji. Shame that NECA never gave us the 74 Godzilla, because that would have looked excellent with Megalon, even though it was really the 73 suit but modified. But you get the idea. Here he is with his battle partner, Gigan, to which he looks great with, and it's fantastic that we now finally have a 6-inch Megalon figure to go alongside our Gigans, whether it's Bandai Creations or Bandai Movie Monster Series. Unless of course you have the YMSF model. But unfortunately the sizing here is pretty off, because Gigan was taller than Megalon. But you know what they say, pickers can't be choosers. And the link to the review on the BC Gigan will be in the description below. Also, even though the sizes may be incorrect, you could still recreate the scene where the two characters high-five each other after beating up Jet Jaguar. And to finish off, here he is with the Bandai Movie Monster Series Varan. And fun fact, Megalon's Raw is Varan's Raw but modified. And yes, you guessed it, Varan's Raw was originally Gojira's Raw but modified. So in turn, Megalon's Raw is Godzilla's Raw but even more modified. And also the link to Varan's review is in the description below. So, final thoughts on the Bandai Movie Monster Series Megalon. Well, if you have the YMSF Megalon and you're satisfied with it, then you're not really missing out. However, if you're unlucky and you cannot find or afford the YMSF Megalon, then Bandai pretty much has you covered. I know that some folks say that they're not so keen on this one, as like Gorosaurus, he too is just a replica of the 8-inch Megalon figure that was released back in 1991, same year that I was born. Fun fact. And it's also due to the pose and lack of paint job. But if you want a 6-inch Megalon figure and you're struggling to find the YMSF model, then it's either this or nothing, unless you're a customizer. Then you could just weather him up and he'll resemble the suit a lot more accurately. However, I'm happy with it. And here's a cheers to the character himself. Happy 50th birthday, Megalon. And also your arch nemesis, Jet Jaguar. This is Dragonzilla signing out. Take care and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.